So if you're fairly new to pickleball and you're looking to expedite your game and get it to the next level, stick around because I'm going to give you my top 3 best tips to go from beginner to 3-0 in no time. So as a beginner out on the pickleball court, things can get pretty overwhelming. You've got advice coming from all different places. You got people telling you what to do. How do you know what are the skills that you should actually be working on to take your game to the next level? Well, I'm gonna take all the hard work out of it and I'm gonna give you what I think are the top 3 most important tips to get your beginner game ramped up quickly. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first concept that we're gonna tackle, which is probably the biggest beginner mistake that I see time and time again, and that is basic court positioning. No matter how good your skills are, if you're in the wrong position or in the wrong spot on the court for the situation or at the wrong time, then it's gonna make everything more difficult. The shots are more difficult, the decisions are more difficult, so your skills are gonna have to be that much better. So I'm gonna give you a couple really basic rules to follow so we can figure out our basic court positioning. So number 1, there is only one situation in pickleball where your movement is 100% predetermined, and that is when you're returning serve. So when you're returning serve, starting back at the baseline, your goal 100% of the time is to hit that return, get up to the kitchen line as quickly as you can so that you're at the kitchen line by the time your opponents play their 3rd shot. Really, there's no reason not to do it. There's no reason you shouldn't be getting there every single time. So get that in your head that we're trying to do that every single time, every single point that you're returning. So beyond that return of serve, things get a little bit trickier because our movement is going to be determined on some different factors. But let me say this first. We have an overall goal that is we want to get to the kitchen line. Everything is easier if you can get up to the kitchen line. You can attack easier, you can get the ball higher, you can hit down easier. It's harder for your opponents to find the feet. So the question then becomes, how do we know when to move forward in the court, when to move back, when to hold our position? So we're gonna use a basic stoplight system. Green means we're pushing forward towards the kitchen line. Yellow means we're holding our position. And red means we're actually gonna try to back up and buy time. Hey guys, if you like the video, it really helps me out if you subscribe so you can not only watch all my past videos, but see everything that I've got coming in the future. Okay, so before we dive in on what the green, yellow, and red mean exactly, we need to understand one thing first, and that is the terms attackable and unattackable. So I'm gonna create a real black and white definition here. If our opponent is hitting a ball that is under net strap height, so the height of the net, and they're making contact with it below that point, we're gonna refer to that as unattackable. If they're hitting a ball that is higher than that point, which means they can hit down into the court, we're calling that attackable. So with that knowledge, what we're gonna do is if you hit a shot that is unattackable, that's gonna be a green light. That means we wanna progress forward in the court and try to improve our position. And typically improve your position means getting closer to the kitchen line. If we hit a ball that's kind of 50-50, you're not sure if it's attackable or not, or maybe it's kind of right around that net height, then that's gonna be our yellow light. We're just gonna kind of freeze and assess the situation. And then if you hit one that's clearly too high, or they have it up above net height and they can hit down and harder into the court, we're either gonna hold our position or we're gonna back up if we have time. If you have time, you want to create more space between you and your opponent, and that's going to give you more time to react. I want to give a big thanks to my sponsor, Selkirk. Check out the link in the description below, and you'll get a free gift card with your purchase. Okay, so the second thing that we're going to focus on, which is going to be a really big game changer because again, it's another really common mistake that I see, is what I would call just general paddle control. So the common thing that I see at the beginner level is way too much paddle movement. So the paddle's getting behind us, the paddle's swinging too much, the wrist is working a lot. So what we're gonna focus on is trying to minimize all of that. And so I've got a couple drills that I'm gonna show you here. They're gonna help us become a little more paddle aware of what our paddle's doing and how little movement it actually takes to get the ball over the net. Okay, so I got a couple drills I'm gonna run you through here. The first one I called the 6-inch dink drill. And the basic idea is that we're gonna try to hit dinks, and we're gonna try to get our paddle to only move 6 inches on the swing. And I know 6 inches doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, trust me. So we're gonna try to get that paddle just going 6 inches on each dink. Okay, so that's our first drill. For our second drill, we're gonna do the visual check drill. And this is gonna work better if you have a bright colored paddle, maybe something on your edge guard that's easy to see. I've got black here, so it's not ideal, but I can still see it. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna dink with a partner, and basically the goal is that in my peripheral vision, I'm never gonna let the color of my paddle leave my peripheral vision. So if I'm dinking and I can't see that black edge of the paddle anymore, that means my backswing got too big and I've kind of lost visual side of the paddle. For the last one, we're gonna do what I call the handcuff drill. And this is just gonna, again, isolate the movements, try to limit extraneous movements. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna take your dominant paddle hand, you're gonna take your off hand and you're gonna grab your wrist, okay? So now we're gonna dink with these two hands connected like this, okay? And again, what this does is this limits the ability to take the paddle too far back, be too kind of wild with the movement. So we're getting everything a little bit more connected and centered on the body. Thanks guys, I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to grab your screenshot so you have all this information right at your fingertips next time you hit the court. The first, shit, the 6-inch dink drill. This is tough to get through. 6 inches doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. So when, all right,